Why are residents of red states convinced that their model of governance is actually the best one to follow? It's one of those weird questions that nobody really seems to have an answer for. And in fact, when you listen to all of the conversations that happen online, every red stater thinks that California and New York and any other blue state is a hellscape, at the same time residing in states that are just complete dumpster fires. Let's take a look at what a red state actually is able to produce in terms of citizens' outcomes. When you think about red states, it's obviously clear that red states are net drains on the republic. They actually take in more federal dollars than they put out. They're generally the biggest welfare states that exist in the union. And in fact, when you look at the revenues that are brought into the federal government, it's blue states that are generally producing most of the revenue that the country relies on, which makes it even more interesting that the red state narrative is that blue states are just complete hellscapes. And oftentimes, when you get into these discussions, people make the case that living in red states is so much cheaper than living in blue states. And in very broad terms, they're not wrong, but there's a saying that goes, you get what you pay for. There's a reason why those states have a lower cost of living in a broad sense. But living in those states makes it a lot more expensive for you to actually live. Think about it. Red states are set up in a way where you, as an individual living in that state, have far poorer outcomes as an individual in terms of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If you live in a red state, you're going to have poorer health outcomes. You're going to have higher rates of obesity. You're going to have poorer educational outcomes. You're going to have lower GDP. You're going to have higher percentages of people that are living at or below the poverty line in red states. And when you adjust it on a per capita basis, living in red states is about as close as you can get to living in a developing country as there is in the United States, which makes it interesting when you look at how many people are defending red state policies as the way to go. When you have poorer health, poorer education, poorer life expectancy, poorer GDP, poorer income, all of those things that help sustain life and make life livable are far worse off in red states than there are in blue states. It's no surprise that when you look at the poorest 15 states, 11 or 12 of them are red states. You don't see the connection there. And what's interesting is that one of the industries that does really well in red states is the prison system. When you look at where private prisons are being built and when you look at where prisons are being expanded, where does that happen? Red states. You don't see that there's a relationship between having poorer outcomes and a higher prison population. Funny how that's connected, isn't it?